Hello and welcome to the deeper vlog around my strategy as the head of product for a new marketplace startup. And my name is Nate, and you might know me as the step manager, or you might know me just from that random guy you see on TikTok sometimes. But I am here, and I'm going to give you my week one strategy for 2Cents Homes, which is the marketplace app that I'm fortunate enough to be leading. So today, I want to show you a little bit about our bifurcated strategy. So I'm going to make myself a little bit smaller here because nobody needs to see me. Also, pardon my noise, or pardon my voice rather. I am a little bit sick on a little bit of the weather, but I still wanted to get this done. But every week I'll be posting videos around, or a vlog, a more in-depth version of the TikTok videos that I post around exactly the key things that I'm focusing on as we're building this app out. Again, this is for all the product people out there or aspiring product people that want to hear from another person's perspective and look or join me in the journey as we're going from startup and hopefully to IPO. So trying this new thing out, and eventually, I hope to see every single one of you and potentially be hiring a lot of you to help me lead the product in the future. But for now, we're in startup mode, so it's lean, pretty small down, or pretty small team size. So as I mentioned, there's two things that are the main priorities for us this week, which are the brick and mortar sellers, or outreach to brick and mortar, and private beta. And the reason why this is important because it's a marketplace app, right? So we want to focus on getting as many people into the marketplace. Think places like eBay, or things like any other marketplace, Amazon, Poshmark, OfferUp, even Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. They all have one thing in common, that they have an established base of users on that. And that is a huge advantage for them because you can go to any one of those sites and have a reasonable amount of confidence that you'll be able to find what you're looking for on the site. So right now we don't have that. Right now we're in the 10s to 20s to less than 100 users, given it's a private beta, because we still want to test some things out. So the main focus that I have right now for this week are two things. One is the tactical, the private beta. We're encountering some user experience issues, some issues with first-time experience, some issues with just general bugs. So one of the themes is we're keeping a sharper focus on the micro. So being very detail-oriented around reporting and defining bugs, and using just a Jira board to handle that. Jira's free, it's easy for us to use, and we can track the bugs that way. I don't recommend using Excel sheets to track bugs. I've done it before in other projects, and it's a nightmare. I would highly recommend using a ticketing system so you can comment back and forth, etc. But so part of the strategy is we got to keep it micro. Just as much as I want to, and my natural sort of inclination is to think about how can we apply the macro strategy, or how can we take steps forward against our macro strategy, and what are the tactical steps there. We also need to make sure that the app doesn't suck, right? So focusing on the private beta and really interacting with the customers and getting them on the phone and saying, hey, what do you like? Not necessarily what do you like, but what did you think about this step, or how did this treat you? So we're also using things like Mixpanel, and I'm logging into the Supabase database to just check to see how things are going as well. So I'm very much in the tech stack, trying to understand the user behaviors and the user actions. So we are monitoring and checking in every day. So right now we have a total of 15 users on the app that aren't just like dummy test accounts. So 15, and we'll go north hopefully from there. So we're trying to increase that number month over month, so that by 2026 we have a substantial amount of people, and we start to get a network effect, or we start to get enough of a network to where it sustains itself. So we have a wider approach on that. So I'm going to try to keep this succinct as possible. I'm going to try to make it less than 10 minutes, but here we are. So the reason why we're going brick and mortar is because a lot of these marketplace apps, or specifically with our marketplace, we are selling what we're hoping to create is an exclusive and a very high feeling, high value marketplace for interior designers, or people that want to who want to decorate their home, or potentially get a home ready or staged for selling, or people that are building their new home, or the anything that has to do with redecorating or designing your home. And immediately right away, that's not going to apply to a lot of users. It's not going to apply to everybody, but it is going to apply this to certain people that value the interior design as an industry and as a space. So because there's a lot of big things like a big chandelier or a big piece of granite, there's going to be a lot of use cases where local pickup is going to be primary. So in order to support that, we are targeting or focusing on two main hubs of how we can develop a network in those two hubs. And because I'm local, like I mentioned, I'm in Ohio, I am going to be focusing on the Ohio hub to help develop and cultivate a network of people that can be on the app and people that can work with the users in that area that have a very high and tight-knit group of a network in the Ohio-based area, specifically like the Northeast Ohio-based area. And how we're going to be approaching this, or how we intend to do this, is by going to brick and mortar sellers to focus on the sellers initially, and then we can figure out a way of getting buyers interested in on it. And we can do things like run ads, or we can do other things like that. But for now, my assumption is that we're going to, it's harder to get the sellers on, so we're going to prioritize getting the sellers on. And once we get this defined, or once, for all intents and purposes, if we can get this done, then we can use this same model in other major industry or other major geographical locations, so that we can continue to build network after network on top of that. So that's the overarching thinking, is that for us to get to scale, we first have to prove it out at a micro level or a relatively smaller level, and then we can get to larger and larger levels. And you can see this. This is very similar to how Uber first, went to market. They had general managers that owned a specific city or geographical location, and they did pretty much everything they could to get people into either becoming a driver or using the app. And this is a very similar approach. So we're going to take a similar approach to that, so that we can have a really strong network build-up approach, and then we can take and wash, rinse, repeat that across either geographic locations or states or even countries. So that's why my focus is on brick and mortar at first. And to just round this out from a product perspective, I'm going to pull up my hypothesis sheet, because I want to make sure that we're tracking everything from a hypothesis perspective, so that we aren't making, or that any assumptions that we're making, we can document them and run an experiment against them and see what the results were, because this might totally fall on its face and might not be something that that is going to be valuable for us to do. So I would like to test it week over week. So every week, at least for the next 4 weeks, I'll be testing these sets of hypotheses out for the Ohio-based market. And the first hypothesis is, if we build relationships with independent boutiques, they will join as early sellers. We're going to reach out to 16 boutiques. I've identified 16 boutiques, and we're going to try to get 3 to 5 stores expected and interested in the next 4 weeks. That's the major step. And we're going to be reaching out to them. We're going to have a connection with them and start to get them interested in the app. So there's a series of other hypotheses. I won't necessarily go line by line, but you can kind of get the idea, is that we're going to test this out. And once we start to go through and we can actually take action against this, which is beginning today, we'll be able to understand what is going to work and what's not going to work. So as I'm thinking about leading this product, if I had a team of PMs, or if there's a lot of people in here, then we can start to build a framework around this. We can start to build a plan around this. Right now, I have 2 folks that are going to be helping me with this, that are going to be helping me execute against this, because I have other areas where I'm going to be focusing on. But this is going to be our plan to try to drive people in parallel with our private beta, to drive interest to develop one key market. So like I mentioned, this is what our focus is going to be, and ideally this will pan out so that we can replicate this again in different industry or different areas, and also get ourselves buttoned up with a really solid foundation of sellers in the area. And then we can explore different ways of generating interest for the buyers to join. But for now, we're just focusing on the sellers. So that's pretty much it for the week 1. That's what we have that's what I wanted to share with anybody or with the folks that are interested in watching this. So this is like I mentioned, this is going to be a week over week vlog for us, and I'll be doing this pretty much every week until we are getting ready to do an IPO. Obviously, that you want to take this to the moon, but you'll be buckling up and joining me along with this car ride, or this ride of launching an app and being the leader of a product that's a relatively new, or it's a very new product into a pretty contentious like marketplace apps. There's a lot of competition, so we'll see what happens, and I look forward to hearing what you're interested in learning more about. I'm happy to talk about the tech strategy, identifying the customer, some of the common tropes of what it's like to be a PM. I have some woes and horror stories around going through the development cycle, things that were missed, anything along those lines. I'm happy to share this and kind of have an open book for this team of product people people, and really to showcase that you do not have to live in a tech hub to be able to lead something. You can do this right from your desk. You can build this right from wherever you are. So if you're thinking about running or starting your own product, you can do it. I believe in you. Please, contact me if you want to talk about ideas, and I will see you on next week's episode of the I'm a CPO, or I'm the head of product, and we're going to we build a marketplace app. I'm butchering the ending here, but whatever the long form title is. But every week I'll be coming back in and we'll be checking in and see how this thing's growing. All right, thanks. Have a great day.